Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Growfolds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Home Depot off of Highway 121 in Plano, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting that like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Growfold. I definitely want to connect with our viewers and subscribers. That is the fastest way and most direct way to get in connection with me. And if you like 1 hour daily plant shopping videos, please subscribe to my channel with the notification bell on, so you'll be able to be notified when I have those live premiere videos, usually with the chat around 7 p.m. Central Standard Time daily. But you can see it's a beautiful day, and I'm just gonna peek in here and look at this Home Depot. I typically don't go to this Home Depot, but since I was actually filming across the street from the Walmart, I wanted to see again if Home Depot is maintaining the amount of plants that they have at a big box store. It is the middle of summer, super super hot. I am based out in North Dallas, so we've been getting 100+ degree weather, very hot weather. So we're gonna see if some of these big box stores are kind of downsizing their plants, especially the outdoor section. But it looks like they've got a ton of like citrus plants already here, and they do have the cactus and succulents available here. So you can see right here we have some agave, for instance. I do like the variegation on this agave, and with most succulents, cacti, and agave, for instance, these are plants that are going to need to get a lot of bright light, full sun for most of them, although I did learn that some of these succulents do not do well in just full sun. So you'll have to really do your research on that. Unfortunately, for my plant foldies, and if I call, if you're new to this channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. I don't know as much about cactus and succulents. I've been doing big box store plant shopping videos for almost half a year now on a daily basis, but I have yet to really do a lot of research with my plants in terms of just the succulents and cactus. So here's the thing about learning about plants. I think a lot of it is due to just experience. So if I don't have the experience to grow plants like cactus and succulents, I don't know nearly as much. So once I start to add more to my collection, I will definitely have a little bit better insight. So I am relying on all of the plant foldies that do grow succulents and cacti to just leave comments in the comment section. I have learned so much from you guys, just leaving insights, giving me plant IDs, giving me care tips. So I would love to see that. And again, I love engagement. So if you want to show some support, definitely hit the like button for this video if you made it this far, and leave as many comments. I respond to every single comment. Obviously, keep them positive. I am open to feedback, but I also just like to engage with you guys, so definitely do that. You can see that these are some beautiful agave, for instance, $26.98. It's pretty prickly. And then we have some fire sticks succulent right over here. So this one seems to be a popular one. And then we have some type of cacti again right over here. You would think that in North Dallas, which is where I'm based at, that people would be growing these out in their landscapes. However, from my grow zone, which is 8B, we get some really harsh cold winters. So some of these succulents and cacti would not survive a freeze. And so you have to do your research when it comes to like specific grow zones. You can't just plant certain plants in a landscape without doing the research. Now, these plants right here, we have some crepe myrtle on the right. Those will do well in my grow zone, which is 8B. And then you can see here we've got some portulaca. These are considered annuals in my grow zone, but they are very vigorous. Some people will say that they're also perennials. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like in my instance, these are more of an annual plant. Now, perennial plants, for those that don't know what perennial means, it means that the plant can be planted in the ground in a landscape, and it will grow through a growing season. So usually spring, summer, fall, and then it'll die off in the winter, but it will regrow and come back the next year. So I love perennial plants. I've actually invested a lot of perennial plants in my plant collection outdoors, specifically lantana, because it's drought tolerant, heat tolerant, loves the sun, and it's a perennial. So it saves me money, and it also can grow in the natural climate. Like vincas, for instance, this one is for $1.98. Vincas are actually pretty fast growing flowering plants, and that one can take drought. So if you have a hot climate like Texas, those would be perfect flower bed or container bed flowering plants. And you can see there's not a lot of people shopping in this heat. I am a little bit hot as far as just like filming this, but I will go on a daily basis to film as many plant content videos for our plant foldies, just because I want to make sure that I'm providing you guys with daily content. It does bring me a lot of joy. I'm super happy that there is still interest in big box or plant shopping videos, but you can see this particular Home Depot is actually pretty full. I really love the look of that. And, you know, filming plants, especially at a big box store in a public area, when there's not as many people, I'm a little bit more comfortable doing that because number one, I definitely don't want to get people in the frames. You know, I want to respect people's privacy. And number two, it's just easier for me to get some wide shots. So this is really cool. So it was $12.98 for these Epipremnum aureum pothos plants. Love this. Look at this golden pothos. This is in a 6-inch planter for $9.98. A really good deal, actually. I would highly suggest this. I say this in every single video, and I will not skip a beat when it comes to just recommending pothos plants. I think pothos plants need to be part of everybody's houseplant collection. There's many different varieties of pothos, but the OG, the original pothos that probably has started everybody's houseplant journey has to be the golden pothos. I would recommend that. It does require more bright indirect light, water when the soil is completely dry. It's easy to propagate, and it's just a plant that even if you're a rare houseplant collector, add yourself a pothos plant. Bring plants that are easy to care for, that can save you money, that are readily available, and that can bring you joy. Because when we start collecting plants that are a little bit more needy, that's when we start getting the stresses. But you can see here, at a big box store, I'm actually impressed that this Home Depot has quite a bit of plants. Like even this one right here, this is some type of Dracaena. I think this is a Dracaena Riki. It could be wrong, but that's for $19.98. And then we also have some Dracaena Lemon Surprise right over here. All of these Dracaena plants, and I talk about this in all of my videos, are so underrated. And I do think that pothos plants are underrated too. You know, they're readily available. These are the hanging baskets by Vigoro. This one right here, for instance, is an Epipremnum aureum Marble Queen pothos, $19.98 in a 6.5-inch planter hanging basket. Love that. And we also have a Alocasia Regal Shields. Now, beautiful Alocasia. It can get some really good sizing on it. The thing about this Alocasia though is, as beautiful as it is, when it's grown indoors, it is a spider mite magnet. So you'll either have to spray it with neem oil on a weekly basis, stay on top of the watering, as well as making sure you give it a lot of humidity. So here's the thing about spider mites. They prefer to be more prevalent when it's a dry environment. So if you don't have high humidity, that's where they thrive. Now, if you have humidifiers, high humidity in your space, spider mites don't like that. They will not appear. So you just want to look at, you know, your humidity levels. But even this right here, this is an Alocasia California, $12.98. Really like the look of this one as well. I like the variegated form of the Alocasia California. I do have a variegated form, but that's another plant you can actually grow, at least in grow zone 8B in a landscape. It'll come back year after year. Then for $15.98, what a beautiful cast iron plant. Now there's some variegated forms of the cast iron plant that I've seen. This is a very strong plant. That's why they call it cast iron. It's very hardy. It's very easy to grow. So that's another easy to care for plant. I specifically don't have it, but it's one I would recommend. And then we have all of these $14.98 Vigoro 6-inch planters. So this one is a Monstera adansonii. And the thing about Monstera adansonii is I, for one, haven't been able to grow one long term. For some reason, I end up killing it. And then number two, Monstera adansonii, it actually prefers to grow up a moss pole, a totem pole, because that's the natural climbing environment that it has. Now over here is another Dracaena. This one is either a Dracaena Steed Soul, beautiful Dracaena, super easy to grow plant. Again, it's one of those more low light tolerant plants, drought tolerant plants. So that makes it easy, especially for those that have a very busy lifestyle like myself. And over here, this is a really cool Nature's Way planter. So that we've got a Sansevieria, I believe, trifasciata, and then we have a Marble Queen pothos here. Nice combination. And what I like about it is both plants are a little bit more low light tolerant. However, with the Marble Queen pothos, you definitely want to give it more light because it will revert more so to green. More light will give it more of that cream white variegation. And then beautiful Hoya carnosa, Crimson Queen, I believe this is what it is. Really common Hoya carnosa. That one is for $14.97. And for my Hoya heads, or those that love Hoyas, most big box stores, they don't really have a lot of selection in terms of Hoyas. The only Hoyas I've seen really readily available would be the Hoya carnosa varieties. Now over here is another easy to care for plant. This one is for $19.98. This is a ZZ plant. I do think that the plant pricing for $19.98 is a little bit pricey for a ZZ plant. I feel like you could get a larger size specimen for that price. It is in a terracotta planter, and then like right over here, it's about the same size, but this one is for $14.98. Sometimes plant pricing is really influenced by the container or the plant that it's in. It's one of those that we want to make sure you just kind of compare pricing. And for me, that is the reason why it's so important for me to do big box or plant shopping videos, especially if you are a local plant foldie, somebody that lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I literally will have updated plant pricing, updated plants that are hitting the Dallas-Fort Worth area market. So it's, I feel like it's beneficial. I'm actually inclined to do these videos because I want to be up to date with the plant pricing and what plants are coming around. So we'll see what that looks like. Yes, but anyways, we can see right here. Now this is interesting. So normally I don't see green cordyline Hawaiian tea plants, $19.98. I don't know the cultivar for this one, but look at how cool that is. It almost looks like a Dracaena, but I like that. I like that there is some variety. It's not the typical maroon or dark foliage cordyline plant. What a nice looking one. And then we have some more Alocasia. So we'll take a look at that in a second. But look at these. We've got some Pothos plants that are a little bit dehydrated. They need a little bit of water. Again, it is super hot, 100+ degree weather today, and it is not fun. This one is another elephant ear Alocasia, $24.98. This one is specifically the Alocasia lowrider. Really cool texture on the leaves. This is another one that I would also add to my collection if Alocasia could be grown indoors. The thing about Alocasia, as beautiful as they are, they just do best outdoors unless you can provide them with bright light and high humidity. So you'll need either a grow light or humidifier to really give them that natural thrive. And I recently went back home to the Philippines. That's where my family is from originally. And the thing about it is plant care is really translated as how close can you get to the natural environment of a tropical plant. So that means the humidity levels, the watering conditions, the lighting conditions. If you're able to emulate that, then your plant is definitely going to be thriving. And so I learned a lot about just natural habitats, natural ways of a plant growing. Like we always look at these like hanging baskets of pothos, for instance. That's really not the way they grow in the wild. They like to climb up trees and poles, and pothos plants will actually really size up. What's interesting is that, even Ficus elastica taniki, $24.98. These can grow into full-blown trees, like 20 to 30 feet tall in a tropical country. Same thing with Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf. And a lot of people will say, give them bright indirect light. But in a tropical climate, they literally grow out in full sun as full-blown trees. Now, this is a really cool palm tree. I don't know the specific variety, but I do like the texture of the leaves. And then such a stunning Alocasia regal shields. Like I swear I would love to be able to grow an Alocasia regal shields, but every time I've tried to grow this size indoors, it just gets spider mites. And that's the thing, plant pests, it's just very frustrating to me. But anyways, so the next location will just be a quick stop to the grocery store. It's at Sprouts off of Costa Road in McKinney, Texas. Just want to see what items that they have over here. This is a place I like to take a look at. So we're going to take a look at this. So it looks like they've got some Calatheas and Stromanthus for $19.99. Beautiful size Calatheas actually, and I will say Sprouts typically has some amazing deals. Right now these are full price, but give it about a week or two and these will probably go on clearance or sale. This is one of my go-to places to purchase plants. Again, unfortunately, as beautiful as the foliage is on these Calatheas and even the Stromanthi, it's one that I'm gonna have to just not purchase. And they do have some Kalanchoe over here for $12.99. Beautiful blooming plants. Like look at how beautiful that Orbifolia is. And so that's just another place I like to look for plants. And then check this out. So Costa Farms plants exotic angels at a Target. So I'm super excited that I saw this. And actually Target is actually selling exotic angel plants for the most inexpensive price, which would be $5. So that's super exciting. I definitely may pick up a couple of these plants. I do like some of the ones that they have available here. So we're going to take a look at just a couple of plants that they may have available. So it looks like they've got some Dieffenbachia, some Peace Lilies, some Chiflera or umbrella plants, some Pothos. Like this one right here is a Dieffenbachia. Right here, and it's only for $5, and actually that is a lot less expensive than Lowe's and even Walmart, so that's exciting. And you can see here Chiflera as well. This is for $5. Now I will say a lot of these exotic angel plants will sell at Target. There's a lot of clientele that shop Target and really like indoor tropical plants. I'm a huge Target fan as well, and I do a lot of my shopping there, especially for some of their plants. But this one right here is a Hydra Helix, or a Hedera Helix Starling English Ivy. I really like the look of that. With English Ivies, they're just a little bit finicky, but I might even purchase that. And then obviously this is a Dracaena Janet Craig Compacta, common plant, easy care plant, a plant that I think everybody should add to their collection. And then we have some peperomia here. This one is a peperomia golden, nice variegation as well. And this one is also an easy to care for plant. When you touch the leaves, they feel almost like a succulent texture. And then over here, Croton Petra. I mean, you can't go wrong with a Croton Petra. Those are plants though, however, that are finicky when grown indoors. And then we have a Dracaena marginata bicolor. So I really like the look of this. And this one will actually get fairly large. You can get up to 3 to 4 feet in height. And then we have a lemon button fern right over here. Nice looking fern. I just like the texture of it, and that is also for $5. So plant foldies. Let me know if you shop at Target, if they actually have Costa Farms exotic angel plants. Really like that, and I hope that Costa Farms will continue to ship out some exotic angel plants to big box stores like Target. Target isn't really known to sell a lot of like tropical plants, but when they do, they have some amazing plants. Like right here is a Dracaena Sandriana. And then I also wanted to show you this clip. So this is at the National Anthem restaurant in Dallas, Texas. So it was right next to the sushi bar, which is where I celebrated my early birthday. My actual birthday is tomorrow, August 7th. I turned 42. Super excited about that. But we stopped by to have just a drink at this location. And you can see they've got some Dracaena, some low light tolerant plants, some ZZ plants. I really like the aesthetic of it. And then they also have some cacti, euphorbia, as well as more ZZ plants. And that's the thing I love about these restaurants and bars. They are starting to utilize a lot of these nice plants that are a little bit more low light tolerant, although there is quite a bit of light coming in. You can see this is a beautiful alocasia right there, as well as a ponytail palm. That's actually surprising that this alocasia is doing very well indoors, but I do like that. And then we also have just a really wide open space. Like one of my dreams is to have a house that just has these huge tall windows. You can see right over here one of my favorite palms. This is a Rhaphis palm, and it's another palm that I think is an easy to care for plant. We've got a Ficus Audrey right over here, and that is another ficus plant that I am currently growing that is fairly easy. I really like the velvety texture, but you can see even when you go to like restaurants, the use of these plants. I love the fact that these plants are getting quite a bit of natural light. You can see here is another Chiflera plant. And then we are going to be going to another grocery store, and this is going to be H-E-B off of Custer Road in McKinney, Texas. So this is one of my favorite places to go find the plants, because H-E-B has really introduced a lot of cost-effective plants. Now, H-E-B is a grocery store that is only located in Texas, so you will not see this outside of Texas. They've got several locations in Houston. They started to really pop up in North Dallas and Austin. So this is a place where you can see they literally have a garden section over here. So All of these plants are typically plants that can be grown in Texas. So one thing I wanted to visit is obviously for $22.97, these huge bushes of lantana flowers. Love lantana. I will feature lantana in every single plant video of mine if I'm able to find them, especially in the gardening sections, because they have done so well for me in my outdoor space. So with Texas being extremely hot, as in like 100+ degree weather, these are plants that you can put in a landscape like Grow Zone 8B, and you don't have to have issues with just watering. They will also bloom very well. This is Pride of Barbados. So this is another interesting plant. I do think that this is another plant that can tolerate heat. The good thing about HEB is they sell plants for not only inexpensive prices, like 2 for $10 for these hanging baskets of portulaca plants, beautiful plants, as well as like plants like this. So bougainvillea, they love the heat, and these are not a bad price at all, $8.97. The only problem about bougainvilleas in my grow zone is they will not survive in the winter just because they cannot tolerate really deep freezes. They are literally a tropical plant, but in the summertime, if you grow them in containers, they will bloom for you. I love the pottery and the planters that HEB has. You can see that they've got a ton of hanging baskets of potato vines. Now those are another plant that's very vigorous and can tolerate heat. And then I also wanted to show you this Ocean Forest Fox Farm soil. That's something that I'm going to start mixing my soils in when I make my aeroid mixes. And you can see here, I believe these are for $22.94. These are hanging baskets of more bougainvillea flowers. We will be going inside to see if they have any indoor tropical plants. But I am such a huge fan of HEB. And the good thing about this HEB is I'm literally 5 minutes away on where I'm based at. So as you can see, I've walked into the inside portion. So these are for $29.97. These huge cactus and succulents. Like, look at this one right over here, Plant Foldies. What do you think about this cactus? It's got such a fuzzy, like, it looks like almost spider webs that have just kind of filled this cactus up. There's just a certain texture I love about it. And then you can see there are other cactus there. I like the fact that those cactus are a fairly large size, and you can see right over here they have some more cactus. So if you're looking for cool cactus, if you're a cactus fan, I know Kathy out in Canada, my Plant Foldy Kathy, I know you guys like these videos and these cactus, so I will show you that. You can see right here we have a crusala, or a jade plant, very easy to care for plant. We've got an aloe vera right over here. But as I pan away, Plant Foldies, so happy that HEB has all of these plants. And then we also have some more plants here. So these are vinca flowers, and these flowers I believe are 2 for $10. So these hanging baskets of vinca flowers. I will rave about vinca flowers because they are drought tolerant, they are heat tolerant, they can literally grow in 100-degree weather, and they bloom profusely. What's interesting is these are considered annuals in my grow zone, which is 8B, but in my home country, the Philippines, they can grow year-round and can become full-grown mature shrubs. Very interesting indeed. Over here, we've got some portulaca again, and portulaca, that is also 2 for $10. So you're getting some really good pricing for these plants. Now, these are also plants that are drought tolerant, heat tolerant. So if you want some flowers that can sustain in such hot weather like Texas, these are plants that are great for it. And that's the reason why I love HEB, because HEB really patronizes the Texan spirit. A lot of the products in the grocery store are locally sourced, and you can even see this beautiful terracotta pottery. I do love terracotta planters. And then over here, these are all for $7. So I'm going to just look at some of these plants here. So right now we have a variegated ginger plant. Now, some people could potentially grow this. This is also known as a shell ginger. This is a plant that you can grow potentially indoors, but whenever they get into those large sizes, they become more challenging because they're a little bit more spider mite prone. I have tried to grow this plant several times and it just doesn't work for me. And then over here, this is really cool. $7 is not a bad price for an Alocasia bambino. This is a more dwarf variety of an Alocasia. It looks almost like an Alocasia poly, but it has a little bit more of a narrow shape on the leaves. Beautiful plant. I love just the subtleties of the dark purple undertones as well as just the veining on it. Huge fan of that. And as far as Alocasias, I am excited in the fact that I may be able to grow Alocasias sustainably indoors once I get my plant room room to where I can, run some humidifiers. It is all about trying to emulate the natural environment again for these plants. Like you can see right here, this is a rubber tree or a Ficus elastica taniki. $7 is not a bad price for a starter plant. And the thing about it is that one will actually need a lot of light, but when you provide it with light, it actually grows fairly well. Same thing with this beautiful Alocasia bambino. Like I'm almost tempted to purchase this. Good thing is with HEB, they're constantly restocking plants. And if you want more of a dwarf variety of an Alocasia, you might want to get an Alocasia bambino. The thing about it is, I am thinking about growing Alocasia in leca, like possibly in a semi-hydroponic situation. So we'll see if that works out for me. And then you can see right here some more variegated ginger or shell ginger. This one has a little bit of crisping on it. These plants do require a little bit more humidity. They prefer that. And so some people in Houston, for instance, the different grow zone, Houston, Texas, can grow those in landscapes and it does well. And then over here for $7 is some type of Dieffenbachia. I do want to go visit potentially buying some Dieffenbachia and potentially growing them in my home, because I've started to figure out some places where I could grow them where they get that. Now this is a plant find, and while some people might think it's not, this is a Philodendron legit black cardinal. And what I like about Philodendron black cardinal is, while some people might think that it's uncommon, maybe common, when you start giving this some really good bright indirect light, it really does give you the black foliage. I love dark foliage plants. It's interesting that we found a Philodendron black cardinal. Sometimes this is mistaken as like a Philodendron red Congo or red imperial, but that's cool that they have a black cardinal over there. And then we have some type of Hoya. This is probably some type of Hoya carnosa. This is also for $7. And I just like that there is quite a bit of a selection already. And you can see right here, we've got a Tradescanthia. The thing about Tradescanthia, it's also known as an inch plant. I would like to get the burgundy thing, but the problem is this plant really does get very leggy fairly quickly. And I just really don't want to maintain the upkeep when it comes to that. So I stay away from that particular Tradescanthia. Now the Tradescanthia I prefer would be the Tradescanthia Nanook, which is basically a larger foliage Tradescanthia that's pink. But again, Tradescanthia, if you provide it with bright indirect light, it becomes a little bit less prone to being leggy. When it does start to get leggy, chop it up and it will promote some more growth. And then over here, we've got some type of peperomia here. Peperomia, this is a really nice neon color peperomia. Again, this is for $7. And I will say, grocery stores, plant foldies is a great place to go find plants. Typically, at least the ones I've shown you in my plant shopping videos, they have been very good about just being cost effective. Like this one right here is for $7. This is a Syngonium neon pink. And it is in a 5.5 inch planter. That's a really good size for it. And I am trying to beef up my Syngonium collection again. I'm rehabbing some Syngoniums. I've already brought them outside in the last 4 days. They've started to push out some new growth. And this is the other Tradescanthia I was talking about. This is a Tradescanthia Nanook. It is one of my favorite Tradescanthias for that reason, just because look at how beautiful it is. I mean, there is a little bit of cosmetic damage, but in terms of just what it looks like, I love the pink colors of it, and then the purple undersides are fabulous. And then we can see right here there is another Philodendron black cardinal. Like I was really tempted to purchase this, and there's several plants again in a Philodendron black cardinal, at least for this. So you're getting multiple plants for the price of $7. So eventually you can either split them up or keep them together to keep it more of a full plant, but it's another plant I'll eventually get. Philodendrons, if you're going to ask me, are easy to care for plants. And then over here is a dark foliage plant. This is another purple plant. This is called a Setcrecia or a purple queen plant. I do like that as well. I do have this. I have the variegated variety, and these are plants that are also easy to propagate in water. You just cut a piece of it off, stick it in water, give it about 2 to 3 days. You'll see some roots. So I really like that. And as you can see here, more pink plants, and pink plants are trendy. Pink plants are amazing. I love this Syngonium. So this is a neon arrowhead or neon pink Syngonium. Look at how pink that is. And the more bright light you give it, the more pink and pronounced the colors will be on this Syngonium. Syngoniums, again, are a common, easy to care for plant. My only suggestion is if you're going to grow Syngonium, make sure you give them a lot of bright light, and make sure you do not let them go through drought spells. Like, as in, you want to make sure you're staying on top of the watering. Otherwise, they will literally get leggy and just become unhealthy. Now over here is a spider plant Bonnie. So this is the curly version of a spider plant. Like that as well. I think spider plants are really cool. The only thing is with spider plants, if you're going to water them, you want to make sure that you're watering them with more distilled water. They tend to be a little bit more sensitive to tap water. Over here is a Peperomia obtusifolia, and you can see that this is mostly green, but there is some green on green variegation. Now here's a secret. If you give it a lot of bright light, it will actually push out higher variegation, where it wouldn't actually be green on green. It'll have more of a cream tone to it. So that's something that I discovered when I first got one of those, and it was mostly green on green, and then it ended up giving me some more cream variegation. Here's a Peperomia Golden. I ended up buying one of these as well. The thing about Peperomia is they are forgiving, but if you allow them to go through a long spell of not being watered, they will quickly deteriorate. And same thing with Dieffenbachia, consistency in the watering, and also spider mite prone. Make sure you're spraying these with some preventative neem oil spray. I have a pest control spray that I do as a DIY. The recipe is 1 conventional spray bottle. You want to get 2 tablespoons cold pressed neem oil, 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 70% strength, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, 1 drop of dish soap, and then also filling up the spray bottle with water. Shake, and you've got yourself a really good, cost-effective plant pest spray. I use that on all my plants. They look shiny, and I haven't really had any pests. It gets rid of pretty much everything. But you can see that was a hanging basket of Pothos, and then all of these beautiful pink plants. Now we're going to walk into HEB. Now the thing about HEB is they have this thing called Max and Miles, which are basically the plants that are sourced out for HEB specifically. This one is for $9.98, and I forgot what the plant ID is for this. So if anybody knows, please leave that in the comments as a timestamp. What I like about it is the orange stems. I do think that this plant is actually originally from Africa, from my understanding, but it is another easy to care for plant, and then obviously one of my favorite plants. This is a Rodeo oyster plant, and it looks similar to a Tradescanthia nanuk, but look at how beautiful that is. In the Philippines or in tropical countries, they use this as ground covers, and look at how large they can get. I've seen these actually get a lot larger when grown outdoors. The more light you give it, the better the variegation is going to look. So this is another plant that's influenced by the light that it receives. And then over here, we've got a Peperomia as well. I'm not sure what the Peperomia plant ID is, but what I do know is it's beautiful. It's happy, because you see those little rat tails? Those are actually the blooms. And HEB also has some amazing succulents. So this one is for $8.98. That is a huge succulent for that price, and I love the look of it. It is perfect. Another succulent as well. This one again is for $8.98. Maybe it's some type of Echeveria plant, but I'm not as prone to knowing all of them. Now this is some type of Crusala plant. Now this one is for $3.98. So if I were somebody that is able to get to an HEB and you want to buy plants, definitely would recommend going to HEB, because if you want succulents, if you want outdoor plants, if you want indoor plants, if you want rare philodendron like Philodendron Pink Princess or a variegated Philodendron Domesticana, you can find it here. They've even sold like Philodendron Strawberry Shake. So I'm going to keep showing you some of these plants. So they've got some miniature bromeliads. These are super cute. $5.98. Look at how cute that is. And whenever you think about going grocery store shopping, also add looking for plants, plant foldies. I'm telling you, it is such a cool feeling to be able to find cost-effective pricing for house plants. So I'd like to know if you find plants like this. This is really cool. So normally it's the same kind of planter that Wild Interiors sells, but this full pot of Syngonium is only for $5, and since it's only for $5 and I'm trying to get my Syngonium collection back in order, I am definitely gonna buy this. Again, this brings me joy because I mean, $5 for this full Syngonium pot with a terracotta planter that's gray, which fits my aesthetic. I definitely need to purchase that. That's another plant that I've seen this before where it's $5, but look at how lush and healthy these plants are. It looks like somebody changed their mind on the Philodendron black cardinal, but you can see several plants available. Like, look at how full and thick this is, and that's really what you want from a Syngonium, is several plants in a pot, so it's super full. That's the only thing about certain Syngoniums. If they want to crawl up and climb up, they end up just getting leggy, so having several plants like that will really mitigate that look. And you can see they've also got for $5 a Peperomia obtusifolia. This is just another green variety, but look at how beautiful it is. And the leaves are very thick and waxy. They almost remind me of like a Hoya. And that's another thing I really like about Peperomia obtusifolia is it is forgiving. If you give it more bright light, it will be more of a vigorous grower. And it's just an easy to care for plant. I love that these plants are in a beautiful terracotta planter, and yes, I'm gonna also buy this. Although it is a what is it? A Marantha silver band. There you go, Marantha silver band. This is more of an uncommon plant, and this used to be a plant that used to be hard to find, quite expensive, and now it's at HEB for only $5. So I think I'm going to pick up this plant right here. What I'm going to do is, number one, make sure that I spray this down with my neem oil spray. Number two, make sure to water it with some like distilled water. And then number three, I have a smaller humidifier. I'm going to put it near it just to make sure I can acclimate it into my space. But what a beautiful plant. I really like that. And the thing is, the silver bands are going to be even more pronounced with the amount of light you provide it. It does like bright indirect light, so you just want to make sure that you're providing that space for it. But humidity is key, especially for Maranthas, Calatheas especially, but Maranthas, I would say even this Marantha is a little bit more forgiving versus a Calathea. So Maranthas, Stromanthes, Thenanthes, those plants tend to just be a little bit more finicky, but I will pay $5 for that. And then look at this, $3.98. Such a cute miniature rose. The problem with miniature rose is if you're going to try to grow them indoors, it's going to be very challenging unless you can put them in front of a south-facing window. You want to provide it with almost like bright light. They prefer full sun because it's still a rose, and roses need that full sun. They like the heat. They like consistent airflow. So for me, being able to grow them indoors is a little bit of a challenge, but I would buy this. I would actually buy this particular miniature rose. I've had this before. This is a variegated miniature rose. Look at how beautiful that is. Roses also prefer more acidic soils. So plant foldies, let me know if you've actually grown miniature roses indoors, or if you've taken a miniature rose like this, planted it in your garden, like your landscape, and if it actually got fairly large. I'm actually super curious about that. That's something I actually thought about. I used to have a rose garden, but I've obviously transformed my backyard landscape into more of a Japanese garden. So I've got a bunch of Japanese maples, I've got a bunch of ginkgos growing, and it's funny because my grow zone is 8B, and really the best climate for that would be more of like the Pacific Northwest, where it's a little bit cooler, less direct sunlight, but I'm gonna try to see if I can grow that. And you can see right here, we've got a string of either hooks or string of bananas. I'm not 100% sure, but they have that available as well at HEB. So lots to pick from. And then this is another Tradescanthia. This one's for $5.98. And you can see that this Tradescanthia Nanook is actually blooming. Beautiful plant. I am a huge fan of that, and it's interesting because that Tradescanthia used to be very expensive to buy, even a cutting. You can see that this one right here was broken off by somebody. I'm just going to stick it back into the soil. It will actually root fairly easily, so maybe somebody will purchase it. And you can see here somebody changed their mind on Silver Band Marantha. We've got some Dracaena Lemon Lime here. This is for $12.99. Nice looking Dracaena as well. I like that. And that again is another underrated plant. Please buy that. please add that to your collection, plant foldies. I'm telling you, it is super easy to grow. And this one is also for $12.99. This is a Philodendron Golden Imperial grown by Mason Farms, which actually sources a lot of their plants to like grocery stores like H-E-B and Kroger. That is a beautiful philodendron. You already know I love neon yellow philodendron. That is my jam. And you know, care tips for that again, plant foldies is bright indirect light, water when the soil is completely dry, and if you can provide it with more humidity, it will actually do well. That one is not a climber, or at least from what my understanding is, it doesn't necessarily need a moss pole to grow to its full potential. You can see for $5.98, we have a bunch of blooming Kalanchoe. So Kalanchoe has made it back into a lot of these stores. And if you notice that Kalanchoe, they just have a lot of different colors for their blooms. I didn't realize that Kalanchoe were actually succulent, so that's super cool. But let's revisit this. You can see that there are even more Syngoniums and more Peperomias, obtusifolias. Again, this is for $5. $5 is amazing. I love that as well. And it's just another plant that I might end up buying, you know, these $5 plants. So I'm definitely going to buy the Silver Band Marantha because that's a good price for $5. I feel like I'm saving money, or not even saving money because I'm spending money, but I'm getting a good deal for that, as well as the Syngonium. I'm not sure what the Syngonium plant ID is, but it's super full. But you can see there are plenty of plants to pick from. And with grocery stores, you will always run into Phalaenopsis orchids. And what's cool about these Phalaenopsis orchids, plant foldies, is they are grown in Texas. So these are sourced from Texas. These are by Max and Miles Orchid Tabletop. Really cool looking Phalaenopsis orchids. My care tips for Phalaenopsis orchids would be bright indirect light, although people will say that they can tolerate lower light conditions. Since it's a blooming plant, you want to give it that bright indirect light. You want to grow it in a substrate that's like orchid bark. They do not need to be in soil ever, otherwise you will kill the orchid. They prefer to be more on the drier side, so maybe watering them completely or drenching them once every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it will do fine. If you want to encourage reblooming, it takes a couple months, but also watering them with like a bloom booster fertilizer will also increase the blooms. But when you're buying a Phalaenopsis orchid in a grocery store like H-E-B, I tend to look for ones that still have a couple of buds that have not fully bloomed. That way I can maintain the blooms. Typically, a Phalaenopsis orchid like this will remain in bloom for about a month. So you have a month to really enjoy it. And notice how all of the roots are just starting to pop out of its pot. You can repot this, but I would recommend repotting it when it is done blooming, because if you're going to repot it, it just adds a little bit more stress to the plant. The plant is already putting so much energy into the blooms that you might want to just hold off on that. And then over here, we've got some more Max and Miles plants. This one right here is really interesting. And I just found, look at this, $15.98 is a Philodendron Pink Princess. Now, I've seen better quality Philodendron Pink Princess, specifically from Max and Miles. This one doesn't have nearly as much variegation, but if you like dark foliage plants, this is still a beautiful philodendron. The thing about Philodendron Pink Princess is its pink variegation is really influenced by the initial genetics. So if you don't find one that is highly variegated, the chances of it actually pushing out some really nice pink variegation is low. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't do it, but it's going to be a lot lower. So for this one right here, it'll probably push out more of the dark foliage versus the pink. And then over here, this is a dehydrated, and I think this needs to really get watered, Rex Begonia. And then over here, as we pan away or pan into this, is a Philodendron Birkin. So this one's actually pretty large. Look at that Philodendron Birkin. So with Philodendron Birkin, the more light you give it, I would say the better the stripes or the variegation is going to look on a Philodendron Birkin. Something I would recommend, something that I would suggest, is really pushing out a lot of bright light for it. Now, Philodendron Birkin, again, was another philodendron that was like uncommon. So, I mean, plant foldies, let me know what you think. I do like Philodendron Birkin because it's not a fussy plant. It's actually a fairly easy plant to take care of. I currently have one growing in hydroponics, which is basically just growing in straight water. And then you can see right here, this is another foliage premium by Max and Miles, another type of peperomia. Again, I don't have that many peperomias, but the peperomias that I do have are fairly easy to take care of. And you can see even here between the two Philodendron Birkin, that one doesn't have nearly as much variegation as the one that I just picked up. And then I just want to show you some more of the Phalaenopsis orchids. So I don't know, plant foldies, Phalaenopsis orchids, are you a fan of them? Do you like them? I will say that every day I see a Phalaenopsis orchid in person, and I love it. Now, these miniature ones are super cute. Look at this Phalaenopsis orchid right over here. This is another tabletop Phalaenopsis orchid. With HEB, or I would say any grocery store typically has Phalaenopsis orchids readily available. I would say the ones that have the most diversity would be Trader Joe's for grocery stores, and for Lowe's as a big box store. Lowe's has other orchids besides Phalaenopsis orchids. If they've got like Cattleya orchids, Dendrobium orchids, just many different types that I feel like everybody should try to grow in their collection. I am thinking about growing a Phalaenopsis orchid wall in one of my my homes, like actually one of the walls in my home. So we'll see what that looks like. There's a lot of plans that I have, but again, it's just about trying to balance my YouTube videos, my job, and just my everyday life. I am super excited because as I debut this premiere, I will be hanging out with my sister and her family, and it's just good to see some people. It's just the day before my actual birthday, which is tomorrow, and I will say my birthday live premiere will be a collab video with Janae Simone and Stephen of I Live Plants. And the final section I want to show you is another grocery store plant shopping video. This is out in Kroger, Costa Road, Frisco, Texas. So this is literally shot at night right across the street from that HEB. So if you're in the McKinney, Frisco area, if you want to see these plants, two of the locations, you can do a 2-in-1 special and see what plants are available. These are my go-to places to go buy some plants. So we're gonna walk over here. So I heard from a birdie that a lot of their Philodendron Snow Drifts were put on clearance. So yes, $5.25. That's not a bad price at all. They were originally $29.99 and then they ended up becoming $14.99. Now they're $5.25. I already bought one for $14.99, but I am probably going to end up buying one of these Philodendron Snow Drifts, because I actually want to rescue this Philodendron because it is a beautiful plant, and actually $5.25 is not a bad price for a Philodendron Snow Drift. It is a beautiful plant. Now this Philodendron actually gets better coloration or variegation with more bright indirect light. So this is another Philodendron that is influenced by the amount of light you provide it. I don't mind having some sectoral green on it, because if it's too light or ghostly white, it's just a little bit less of a hardy plant. I prefer plants that have more green on them to an extent. And then you can see right here, this is for $3.69. This one is another Syngonium. That's not a bad price at all. The only thing I will say about the Syngonium is notice how the leaves haven't fully unfurled. That is probably a result of the plant not necessarily getting enough humidity for it to really unfurl. And then over here, this is actually not bad, $3.50 for a small miniature orchid. I might end up buying that as well, because even though the blooms are gonna be spent soon, you can just rebloom that, and that's a really good price for a Phalaenopsis orchid. Now over here is another reduced Epipremnum aureum golden pothos, $8.40 in a 6-inch planter. It's actually trailing, so that's not a bad price at all. Notice though that it is a little bit saggy. It's because it's just dehydrated. It really needs some water. So, but as soon as you water it, it is actually going to do very well. It'll perk up. It's a pretty easy growing plant. I am on this kick on just collecting more pothos plants, and you can see right here, this used to be $19.99 for this flowering anthurium. It is only $8.40. Several plants actually in the 6-inch planter, so that's not a bad price at all. So right off the bat, sometimes you get lucky. I will say Kroger will definitely reduce their plant pricing. So most grocery stores, and I've said this in all of my videos that I feature grocery stores, plant foldies, they treat their plants as if they are fresh produce. So therefore, they want to cull through plants. They want to make sure that they have the most fresh, vibrant, healthy looking plants. you won't see plants that are on the brink of death. And if it is, they probably either discarded them or have reduced them substantially. But you will see like right off the bat, even though these plants are mostly floral plants, I do like to show plant foldies that because I am a fan. I haven't seen this and I'm glad that they finally got these back in. But these are called Azalea Simsii or indoor azalea. This is for $29.99. It is a little bit pricey, but these azaleas are really meant to be grown indoors. They do need a little bit more bright indirect light because it is a blooming plant. The only thing about this azalea is if you do not keep the soil moist and you let it dry out completely, be prepared for this plant to die. Now, obviously you don't want to overwater it and soak it, but it definitely doesn't want its soil to dry out completely. Azaleas, rhododendron, those types of flowering plants that also like acidic soil have very fine roots. So if you let it dry out completely, it's just not a good thing for the plant, but you can see how beautiful they are. I would like to be able to grow these plants, but I just know, and that's the thing, I say this in all of my videos, I just know that I don't water my plants nearly as much, and therefore if I don't water them nearly as much, I cannot have a plant that requires a lot of water. It's that simple. I still want to go, admire them. I also want to admire these beautiful miniature roses here. These ones are for $7.99. That's actually not a bad price at all. It's a pretty nice looking rose, miniature rose. So as you can see, plant foldies in my plant shopping videos, I try to just feature all sorts of plants because if you're a plant foldie, you should love every type of plant. It doesn't always have to be these indoor rare tropical aeroids or plants like that. Although I would say the majority of you guys that are probably watching my video prefer that. But I want to expose you guys all to all of the different plants because at the end of the day, I love plants. Just as much as I love this Hydra Helix. You can see that this one is actually $69.99 because it is a premium floral mixture of different types of plants. So they've got some anthuriums, they got some Hydra Helix, they've got a lot of other plants in there. I personally wouldn't purchase it. I think it's a little bit overpriced, but some people, they might want some instant gratification or a gift. Now, if you want to gift me a plant like that, especially for my 42nd birthday, I am all for it. I will always take plants. I will take all of that, and shameless plug, if you want to leave a super sticker or a super thanks, which is basically a virtual tip for any of these videos, you can definitely drop that at any point in the comment section or even during the live premiere chats. I have received those from some of my plant foldies, and I tell you, it is so helpful in terms of just funding the budget for some of the production of these videos. The gas that I take to drive all over Dallas-Fort Worth area and even my equipment, more so just to feed my plant obsession. Yes, I say obsession because I am still having a tough time not buying plants. That's part of it. But as you can see, plant foldies, you can see how beautiful all of these flowering plants are. And what I like about Kroger's is also they have a way of presenting their plants. So there's color stories. So you've got red, and then it goes to yellow, it goes to orange, it goes to white. It's beautiful. One of my favorite calatheas to look at, this is a Calathea rospicta. This one is for $9.99, I believe. Beautiful plant. Unfortunately, it will not tempt me to purchase it as beautiful as it is because it is not going to do well in my care. Like, I already know that there are some opportunities, and that's just another plant that if I could just grow substantially or sustainability where it doesn't like get spider mites, I would totally do it. But it is just a plant that, at least in my current environment, is just not going to do well for me. And it's unfortunate because I really like calatheas. This is a plant I do want to add. This is actually for $17.99. I think that is a little bit pricey. Surprisingly, this is a Pelea peperomoides, or a Chinese money tree plant, or what you call a UFO plant. It's another beautiful plant that I am a fan of. Unfortunately, that is not, it's a pretty expensive price. Now over here, we've got a golden pothos for $9.99. And you notice how this is a super lush golden pothos, but then we saw another one that was a little bit larger for $8.25. I would still go with the inexpensive one, the one that's reduced, because you just have to water it and then it will eventually perk up. Polka dot plant. This is the pink splash for $9.99. It looks beautiful, but it's a very fussy plant. I have yet tried to figure out how to grow it. I don't know if it's just a plant that needs to be grown outdoors. in a container if it needs more humidity. So plant foldies, just let me know the plant care tips for that. And you can see we've got some chrysanthemums or mums, beautiful plants as well. I used to be obsessed with mums. I've actually made like mum bonsai. And then over here we've got some gerbera daisies, and this wooden planter is super cool. This is only for $9.99, and look at how beautiful the blooms are. But I also like the texture of the leaves. I find them really interesting. Now this one has a really cool bloom about it as well. So plant foldies, I hope that you guys are liking the floral portions, the plants I'm showing you. This one is a kalanchoe, blooming kalanchoe. It's another blooming succulent, beautiful purple variety. I am actually curious to see if they have some variegated varieties or some different types of hybrid blooms for kalanchoe, because it just seems to have lots of different varieties. You can see we've got some orange, we've got some yellow, we've got some white. What a beautiful statement. And I have to credit the floral department at this particular Kroger. They always have fresh displays of plants. I can't be more impressed with how they take care of their plants here. So if you are in the McKinney, Texas, Frisco area, all you have to do is go on Costa Road, go to the Kroger Marketplace, and you will see some beautiful plants. Now this plant right there is for $99. They've got several different plants in that like gift basket. I don't think it's the most cost-effective way of going about the plants, but if you want several plants to give to somebody as a gift, that's one way. I mean, you can gift me that if you like plant foldies, so just let me know. I will pick it up. You can send it to me, whatever you want to do. Now over here is a place where they always have the Philodendron orchids. Love the Philodendron orchids, and they source out to many different kinds of nurseries. What I like about this particular Philodendron orchid is the planter. So I love matte, smooth planters that are very simple, very elegant looking. I don't really like a lot of textures or colors. I like more of these subdued neutral colors or a pop of pink, something of that nature. Pastel colors are really nice, but you can see they have several different Philodendron orchids. And what I like about these Philodendron orchids is they're just easy to maintain. Some people will say they're actually challenging. My variegated Philodendron orchid is doing just fine, and look at how beautiful the faces of these blooms are. Huge fan of that. And again, plant foldies, this one is for $14.99. I am going to start looking at growing different Philodendron orchids, and I'm probably going to find Philodendron orchids that are in different bloom cycles. Therefore, I will always have something in bloom, if that makes any sense. And then over here by Mason Farms, $9.99, 4.5-inch planter of a zebra plant. This is a plant that for some reason it just doesn't really tickle my fancy in terms of wanting to add it to my plant collection. It is a beautiful plant, but it's one of those plants that I just don't really want to add to my collection. There's just not enough interest for me to add that. Pothos plant, however, I will add that to my collection. I will take pothos cuttings from anybody. I am actually propagating several pothos right now, and I am loving it. Plant propagation for me is one of the best ways to grow your plant collection, and that's the thing, plant foldies. What I want, or what I envision for our community, is to maybe start a Facebook group for some local plant foldies, or even having plant foldies in Canada getting together, sharing plant cuttings, plant propagations, doing plant trades, doing meetups. All of that would be so exciting. And our subscriber count is almost close to 10,000 subscribers. We just need 75 more people to subscribe to the channel. So if you're watching this for the first time and you've enjoyed me talking for more than an hour, and you like plant shopping videos or just want to see plants, please hit the subscribe button. Not only hit the subscribe button, but also with the notification bell on so you'll stay up to date. And you can see right here, this is another Mason Farm plant, $9.99. This is another Philodendron Imperial Gold. Now, if they reduce this philodendron, I would totally buy it. I am like tempted to purchase a lot of plants, because that's the thing. When you find a plant that is on sale, you just want to keep picking up plants. And this place right here, this Kroger, has been restocked, re-merchandised, and there's just a lot of beautiful plants to pick from. I love the Philodendron orchids, and I don't know. I just like it a lot. It's one of those things where whenever I go to a grocery store like Kroger, you can't help but look at it, and you can see right here, Ficus elastica burgundy, 19.99. Notice that there's a lot of aerial roots. The thing about this is a little bit more pricey for my taste, because you can go to Trader Joe's grocery store, buy the same size plant for $12.99. So it's always important to do your plant pricing comparisons. It is okay to be a little bit more frugal, more picky. Like this one right here, when I first saw this peperomia camouflage, I wanted to purchase it. But then like a week later, instead of paying $10.99, I ended up paying only $5 because it was reduced as like a clearance price. So a lot of these plants that I see at this Kroger, I tend to just wait. I don't always buy them at full price because they will reduce them. Like this one right here, I think is about to get reduced because this is a polka dot plant that's gotten a little bit leggy. This is for $8.99. I definitely wouldn't pay a full price for that. I do think that the plant is pretty. I love the speckling on the leaves. The problem is it's just a finicky plant, and I haven't figured out exactly how to take care of that. I've killed a couple of them already. But these Philodendron orchids, I mean, I'm almost tempted to just buy a lot of these Philodendron orchids. So plant folies, let me know if you grow Philodendron orchids, what sizes of Philodendron orchids you're currently growing or want to grow. I like these teacup size Philodendron orchids. I find them so adorable, and they would just be, I feel like would be easier to maintain. Let me know in the comments what your insights are, your thoughts are. I think they're super cool, and it's just another plant that I am gonna add to my collection. My vision is to literally become one of those YouTubers who actually shows their plant, the plants that I'm growing in my home. I talk a lot about plants. I do a lot of big box store plant shopping videos. Y'all tend to watch these more so than some of my other content, but hopefully I will be doing some home tours soon where I can showcase some of my personal plants. Now, what's interesting about Kroger as well is that they do have some interesting Hoyas that come out from Mason Farm, as well as some high quality Epipremnum aureum, Enjoy Pothos. Like this is a legit Enjoy Pothos because you can tell that there's not a speckling. The contrast on the variegation is very pronounced, and that's what I like about this. This one is actually one that I would grow on a totem pole because it would be easy to attach to it, and once it does, it will really size up its leaves, and I love that. That the thought of a really large leaf from a Enjoy Pothos really excites me. That's kind of how I am. I'm a little bit of a plant nerd. I get excited about the littlest nuances of plants. So plant foldies, I don't know if you have the same passion as me. If you like to talk about plants or just get excited about them, leave some comments for me about what excites you about plants. This is exciting, for instance. Calathea lancifolia or rattlesnake calathea. This one is for $19.99, but look at how beautiful the purple undersides are. That is absolutely stunning, especially with the highlight, the spotlight that it's in. Gorgeous plant. It is another plant that I feel like would, basically I've had this before, but I just know I'm going to end up sending it to plant heaven, so I'd rather just admire it at a grocery store or a big box store or a local plant nursery. But you can see they've got several plants here. They've got some bonsai plants here. What else do they have? And that's a really nice green foliage. There's something about green foliage that's shiny that just is really attractive. And then as far as the most cheapest, inexpensive Costa Farms trending tropical plants, you have to go to a Kroger because it's $16.99 as compared to the other big box stores where it's normally like $19.98. This one is $16.99. And honestly, if I didn't have a Monstera Peru already, I would totally buy one. I am looking for a variegated one. I may try to get one at PlantCon 2024. And again, that brings me to another thing. Plant foldies, if you are going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, Texas on August 31st, September 1st, please leave in the comments. I definitely want to meet up with you guys. I know there are several of you guys already. I'm thinking we should meet up near the Peace Planters booth. Peace Planters is one of my favorite small businesses, plant shops. They are amazing. They are going to have a booth, and I really want us to really get everybody excited for the local communities to support Peace Planters. And then you can see, but look at all of these trending tropicals. This is a Monstera Stedliana. $16.99. I actually chopped up my Monstera sedliana because it wasn't getting a lot of light and it ended up shooting runners. So the runners had a bunch of nodes. So basically I am propagating them as like a wet stick. Hopefully I can get them to root. But Monstera sedliana, that is another beautiful Monstera. I would say if you give it more light, it's going to give you better variegation, but I'm not sure. Now, this is what I was looking for. Now, these are listed for $29.99. These are Philodendron verrucosums. The thing is, I've heard that they were going to get Philodendron verrucosum. Here's the thing about Philodendron verrucosum. It is a beautiful philodendron. It can get some really nice veining. It looks like these ones are in the juvenile state. Unfortunately, these Philodendron verrucosums, I believe, are a little bit overpriced. And at this point, some of them are really suffering in terms of just not getting enough humidity. You can see some of the leaves are crisping and having some brown edges. That is a result of that. Also, when you find a philodendron that is more fuzzy or like velvety in texture, like maybe even a Philodendron gloriosum, they are more spider mite prone for some reason, and that is another philodendron that is spider mite prone. I think that Kroger ended up getting too many Philodendron Snow Drifts, for instance, Philodendron squamiferums, and didn't really sell them through. I am really afraid that they ended up in the trash. So I'm hoping that I was just not there when they substantially reduced them, because they literally had a full setup and now they're gone. And I'm looking to see if they're around. I only saw 3 Philodendron Snow Drift. So hopefully they just sold through it. You can see there's some beautiful Alocasia Black Velvet. This is for $9.99, and you can see that it's actually in bloom. I like the look of an Alocasia Black Velvet. This is another plant that I most likely will end up putting in my collection. Now, somebody said that I can regrow the corms of the ones that I've killed, so we'll see if that works. I'm just going to take those planters, put them outside, especially since it's pretty hot, 100-degree weather. Maybe it'll just get them to sprout. But you can see these are some Philodendron verrucosums. They are pretty. I do like the planter. This one's not a bad price. If it was a little bit earlier, I would honestly ask a manager or somebody in the floral department if they would sell it to me at a reduced price. That is really the only way I would buy these plants. I definitely wouldn't pay even $14.99 for them. Definitely not $29.99, because I feel like you can even go to a local plant nursery at that point to get a bigger variety. Beautiful plant. I do like philodendrons. I want to add more philodendron to my collection, so we'll take a look at that. But this is one plant I did want to see. $19.99. This is a Monstera adansonii, but look at how large the leaves are. I think this is the wide form. So they have the narrow form and the wide form. Beautiful plant. I really like that as well. And what else do we have right over here? I'm just going to pan away and see what else we have available. As you can see, even though there is just a small table of plants, there's quite a bit of healthy looking plants. I haven't really seen anything that wasn't unhealthy, unfortunately, except the Philodendron verrucosum. But urban jungle hanging baskets. Cheapest hanging baskets of plants you can buy. This is a Philodendron heteroecium, $12.99. I was actually tempted to purchase that as well, because even though it is a green variety, I love the heart-shaped leaf of this Philodendron heteroecium. Beautiful plant. I love trailing plants as well. I might end up spoiling myself and buying this maybe on my birthday tomorrow. Plant Folies, let me know if you would buy that for $12.99. That is a really good price as well for a Philodendron heteroecium. Gorgeous looking plant. I am a fan of it, and I have the neon version, but I ended up just like underwatering it again, and that's why it started to kind of decline in health. Somebody's just going to have to tell me if there is an easier way to maintain plants and watering them indoors, or if that's really just part of it. But I hope you guys have enjoyed so far what I've shown you in terms of the multiple locations of big box stores and grocery stores. As you can see, I like to travel a lot. I will definitely do more plant content for you guys. Plant Con is I'm gonna have several hours. I'm literally gonna take my iPad and do that and get some more content for you. But if you like this video, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on my birthday. Bye.